First and foremost, the issue of the reforms in the sugar sector is something that has been going on in this house for a long time. You remember, Mr. Chairman, that a while back, the Parliament itself formed a sugar caucus. Parliament is the one that debated the issue between whether they should sell these sugar factories, and it was Parliament that eventually decided that what they should do is not sell the factories, but actually lease the factories, even though, you know, some people had actually agreed and signed for the sale of the sugar factories. So to begin with, there is no selling of the sugar factories that has been done. So that eliminates the issue of a shareholding, because if you are selling something, you can now own shares in it. If you are leasing something, what you are leasing essentially is just management. You are not taking over ownership of the institution, but you are taking over the management of the institution. The second part of it, and I'm sure that Chilchil will explain it very clearly, is that the process, Mr. Chairman, and I'm glad that Honorable Denga has explained that very well, that the leasing is an agreed basis. So we have to move forward with the leasing. The issue of the secrecy, and I think this is what has been alluded to throughout, is an issue that we need to address. And that's why I'm referring to when this process started, long before I was in this ministry or whether the PS was in this ministry. This process was discussed at length here in this House of Parliament. Mr. Chairman, there was even a question that was taken to court the last time that was ruled on the 25th of February as to whether there was sufficient stakeholder engagement or not. The courts ruled that there was sufficient stakeholder engagement, and we are going to go through the process. The process is going to be explained very, very clearly. From the advertising, because an advertisement was done, there was a normal procurement process that that we went through. I have personally engaged quite a number of stakeholders, including the unions that represent the workers, the unions that represent the farmers. And Mr. Chairman, the issue of the farmers was paramount, at least for me. At the back of my mind, the issue of what the plight of the farmer was paramount in my mind. And therefore, what the agreement, at least part of the agreement that the CEO will explain, will speak to, is that all farmer debts were taken over by the government. Let's start from there. There is no farmer who is going to suffer. And Mr. Chairman, the flip side of it is this, and it's good to be honest about it. The flip side of this whole exercise is unless you lease these factories, those debts that are held by the farmers could very easily turn into bad debt. What we have done, you know, by going for the lease option is actually convert bad farmers' debt, bad workers' debt, into account receivables. We have converted it into an account receivable. It wasn't there before. Mr. Chairman, farmers and workers are owed something to the tune of 5.6 billion shillings. And the irony of it is this. You have got one factory here that is run by the private sector that pays the farmers every week, that pays taxes to the government. You know, there is no rose that doesn't have a thorn. So none of those in the keyboards and so, they're not perfect. Nobody is proposing that they are perfect people. But at least they pay their farmers per week. And I'd rather have somebody who is giving me 10 shillings than somebody who is promising me 100 shillings. So, Mr. Chairman, let me finish and then, yeah, Mr. Chairman, what the long and short of it is this. There was an advertisement that was done. It was open. There was no process that was closed. The normal procurement processes were entered and gone through. So, you know, he'll explain, the CEO will explain how that process was done exactly and who was included in that team, because it is not just the ministry that was procuring this process. At a personal level, of course, I can't get involved. That's the law. I don't get involved in the procuring process. But Mr. Chairman, this is something that has been going on for a very long time. Very long time. And at some point, you have got to proceed with it. As far as the speed at which it was done, there is no fast speed. This is business. There is no fast speed. The idea was, let's finish with this issue by date X, and let the lessee start on Monday, running the organization. There is no day that is better than the other day. And there are several issues that will continue to arise. It doesn't mean that everything is concluded and now there is no issue arising. There will be several issues that will continue to arise and which we have to address as we go along. But you cannot ask a lessee to take over debts that you yourself have incurred before licensing. As far as the details of it all is concerned, again, they are going to be expounded on. But I know one thing, Mr. Chairman. We were getting nothing out of those factories. Nothing. We were pouring money into those factories. In other words, we were getting the money from the private sector millers and then pouring that money in the public sector millers. So I don't think there is any ill feeling or any ill will, towards the farmers. And I think that perhaps I should give an opportunity to Chilchil to explain the details first.
Before Jill takes over.
There is no document in my office that I cannot give this committee. I have everything is in your hands, Honorable Member, especially because of where you come from. We are prepared to give all the documents that lead to this issue. And it is important for us, Chairman, and thank you very much for your understanding. It's important for the ministry for all information to be available to everybody, because that way it can be seen that there is nothing that is being hidden. Mr. Chairman, the ministry has no dog in the race.
No, there's a lot.
It's a question of what has to be done, and it's a question of the saving of the farmers. That at the end of it all, we are talking the same thing with the Honorable Odinga, because we want to save the farmers. We want to ensure the workers continue working. We want to make sure that farmers' debts are paid. All of us want the same thing. Let's start from there.
Let them know.
Indeed we are.
Even I don't know that you are trying to help them.
In fact, there is nothing else you are trying to do. There is nothing else. If you were not trying to help the farmers and all that, you'd just keep quiet and let the thing die. But we cannot do that as responsible Kenyans. So I want to assure you, honorable members, I want to assure you that there is no way we can sit back and just let our farm. These are Kenyans. There is no way we can just sit back and leave them to their own fate, and leave them to suffer, and leave them to as if they have as if they are not part of us. We can never do that. Not on my watch. I will not do that.
But CS, they've not been part of you for a long time. That's why we are confronting.
I am here for 4 months, and when this process started, Chairman, I wasn't here, but I want to assure my sister, the honorable member, that we will not rest until all the farmers' interests are taken care of. That I can assure you. Chairman, for clarity, let's have a session to just sit and interrogate this issue as a committee of the House, with all documents, everything, as a separate issue from the budget process. Because the budget process is one thing, this sugar issue is another. Let's all sit together in a sitting, Mr. Chairman, where everybody comes who was involved, or the committee that was involved in the procurement, everybody comes, sits there. We can even invite those who have taken over the factories themselves. Let them come there, let them be interrogated by the committee. Then there is complete transparency.